Hi, and welcome to the show today. On the show today, and that's on with the Novaks, by the way, we're going to be talking about a news story about Snapchat, surgeries, disturbing trends of patients wanting to look like filters. I don't even know how, did you come up with that story?
I did.
Okay.
I heard the story the other day, and I'm like, we have to talk about this on our podcast because Instagram and Snapchat are just so popular these days.
But Snapchat, I mean, do you use Snapchat?
I don't use Snapchat, and I believe you don't use Snapchat either.
I've never used it. I mean, it looks kind of crazy to me. I think that's where they had the weird ears and different things on their faces.
It's different filters where you can have like the doggy ears, which are,
but they're changing more than that, right? Isn't that what the story's about?
Absolutely. Okay. And I'll read the news story and we'll get more into that.
All right. Then we're going to talk about why it's important to know how to recognize your personality type to help build deeper personal and business relationships. I'll go ahead and cover that side since kind of that's what I talk about.
That's your expertise.
That's what I do. And then, why we think date night is important for a healthy relationship. So, yeah, that'll be pretty interesting. I'm looking forward to talking about that. Of course, I like date night.
I do too. I don't have to cook on date night, so that makes it extra special.
Very nice. I don't have to cook either on date night.
Yeah. Well, let's get started with this story, this Snapchat story. And I'm just going to read you the article here. Plastic surgeons are reporting a disturbing new trend of patients wanting to look like the retouched, filtered versions of themselves that they post on Snapchat and Instagram. Boston medical researchers authored an article that calls the trend Snapchat dysphoria.
What? Dysphoria?
Yeah.
That sounds disturbing, like you said.
Sounds like an illness, right?
Right, it does.
Arguing that the filters on popular photo sharing apps are wreaking havoc on our self-esteem. Snapchat, which has a younger user base, comes with a wide range of filters that will make a person's skin look smoother, their eyelashes longer, and their face more angular.
Right. Isn't there an app you showed me where it actually takes a frown on someone's face in a photo and makes them smile or something?
It just changes like your whole smile. It will open your mouth up a little more, and you have these beautiful teeth.
So really, when you look at a photo on social media, it might not look like the real person in real life.
Exactly.
And what do you think about that? You think that, you think that's okay? You think that's being fake or phony? I mean,
I think, small touch-ups here and there with lighting and maybe, for your skin or whatever. The only filters, to be quite honest, that I use is just kind of the lighting to adjust the lighting on the photo. And that's it.
Right. I've never used anything else. I mean, where you erase things or Photoshop.
I feel like it's kind of fake, actually,
I do.
And I've just, a lot of people on Instagram just use it all the time. And they do.
We know a lady, in fact, that we've seen in real life. And then we saw her on, Instagram. We're like, oh my gosh, she looks like 20 years younger. And then
exactly.
And it didn't even look like her. She looked kind of deformed almost.
Exactly.
A little bit. But then people are thinking that's good. So maybe that's what you're talking about. These people are going to doctors and say, hey, I want to look like this. That's interesting because we've worked with quite a few plastic surgeons before, helping them with their patient care coordinator, increasing surgeries and bookings. And I'm going to have to call some of our clients, past clients, and say, hey.
See if they're getting those requests.
Yeah, because, obviously here in Newport Beach, as you know, here near Fashion Island, if you drew a circle, about a 3-mile circle around it, there's 92 plastic surgeons.
Wow.
Just in this area alone, in a 3-mile radius.
Crazy.
So there's quite a few to choose from.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see how many of them are getting the request. And people that do it all the time that do, you can tell that they're doing something. I see on their comments the questions that they're getting. People ask, what did you do to make your face look so different? Or back off the surgery, you look better natural. Right. Or your skin is so flawless. What products do you use? So obviously,
is this part of the avatar stuff? Like people are like they're not themselves and they have like an avatar themselves and they play video games and do all this crazy stuff. Do you think it's kind of like this technology is making people think they should be something they're not?
Possibly. I'm not sure. I don't know. If you do it every once in a while, I think it's fine. But if you're doing it all the time, I think it's false advertising, actually. It's so...
Well, especially if you're single.
Exactly.
I mean, my dad used to always say, hey, look, before you marry someone, make sure they take a shower, take all their makeup off, and know what they really look like.
Exactly.
I never knew what that meant till afterwards. But I will say...
That was good advice from your dad.
It was good advice. However, I will say, and I'm not just saying this because you're here, but I always tell you this, and and our listeners should know this. I think you look better without makeup. Yeah. And I tell you that every morning.
You do tell me that.
And it's so true. So I mean, for me, it's like, wear makeup, don't wear makeup. Either way, it's great for me. So.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Anything I can do to save a little money on makeup. No, I'm just kidding.
There you go. So I'm just going to read a little bit more of the story here.
There's more. Okay.
There's a little bit more that our listeners might find interesting. Unlike the use of Photoshop that's commonly used for fashion photography in magazines, the filters on Snapchat provide entirely unhuman standards of attractiveness, presenting an unattainable look and blurring the line of reality and fantasy for these patients.
Okay, but think about it. I mean, if you do something, alter the way you look on, Instagram, Facebook, a photo, whatever, and then you're people that know you, right?
Exactly.
And they know what you really look like, right? So they know you're altering the photo. So who are you really doing it for? The people that don't know you?
I don't know. It kind of seems like the people that know each other, they're just casually commenting, "Oh, doll, you look beautiful," or
So we're just all lying to each other.
I think so.
Because honestly, we've seen some people that go, "Wow, you look amazing," and we're like, "Really? Okay."
Exactly. Yeah.
But then I've known some, people that had plastic surgery that think they look great and they really don't. So, anyways, this is an interesting trend. So I think people are just gonna have to, be happy with the way they look. There's nothing wrong with plastic surgery. There's nothing wrong with looking better. But let's be realistic about it. Let's not do too much.
Exactly.
But that's just kind of my opinion.
The overdone look. I agree. So I think that's enough about the Snapchat, Instagram topic.
Yeah, just like, for instance, being a professional speaker, one of the things that they teach us is to have a new photo every 6 months.
Oh, yeah.
Because, and 6 months is pretty quick because probably shouldn't say this because we don't want to believe this in our heads, but we actually do change a little bit every 6 months. So what happens is if you're a speaker or, as we see real estate agents, we see their photos on their car.
Looks 20 years
old. We're like, who is this? Is this from college? But, I get it. But at the same time is you have to update your photo because I think what happens is people see they have an older photo. And I think from a sales standpoint, they don't trust you as much. They think, what are you, phony and not being real? And
false advertising.
Yeah, I just think it's better to be real. And hey, look, if you need some plastic surgery or you need a little maintenance, as they call it here in Newport Beach, have some maintenance done, but don't use a 20-year-old photo.
Exactly. I think 6 months is a little soon.
I think so, but that's what they were saying. So maybe once a year.
Or absolutely no longer than 2 years. Keep it updated.
Agreed.
For sure. All right. Well, we're going to move on to personality types and building relationships. And I believe to build healthy relationships at work, at home, and with friends, it's just really important to know the personality types. It's really going to help you communicate with people better. And I'm going to let Todd take this story from here because he's the expert with personality types.
Yeah. So, probably about when I was 20 years old, I met my mentor. Actually, I take the back. It's about 23 years old. I met my mentor here in Newport Beach, California. I was living in New Mexico at the time. And he talked about personality types. And it was so unusual for me to think about this because I used to, and I say used to, because that's the cool thing about personality types. Once you know you're a certain way, you can actually change it.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool. But I had a personality type where 50% of the people loved me or just said, man, that guy's the greatest, or the other half just didn't like me at all.
Okay.
And my personality type back then was like, well, if you didn't like me, that's your problem, not mine.
Too bad.
Right. And the ones that like me were like, hey, cool, right on.
Yeah.
And so, but what I found out was if somebody doesn't like me, it's not their fault, it's mine.
Okay.
And that was kind of the big revelation for me. So when I learned that I have to alter my personality type in a good way. I have to learn to connect with people. I need to learn to be compassionate with people that need the compassion. I need to be more understanding or talk differently, not be phony.
Yeah.
But actually do it from the standpoint of wanting to connect with people and not letting them feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And so, one of the things that I designed, there's tons of personality type. systems out there, and there's the original, what I call the DISC theory, the DISC theory. And those stand, D stands for one personality type, I for another, C for another, S for another. Problem is, it gets kind of confusing because your brain can't register what a D looks like. There's not a visual picture like a D looks like this.
It'd be easy to forget.
Yeah, or what does an I look like? But if I tell you an I looks like a peacock, because what I do is I broke it down to 4 birds. So it's very right brain, very visual. And once you learn what I call the birds, you'll never forget it. You'll always use it, and it will just click with you. So I'll give you the quick 4 birds.
Yeah, the birds are fun too, because they're fun to look at and easy to remember.
Right. And kids love the birds. I mean, I've taught kids at 3 years old this, and they remember them. So and I, in the DISC theory, we're just going to go with the birds. The birds is a peacock. And a peacock is all about having fun, social interaction. It's kind of like, when you have a party, it's not going to happen until so-and-so shows up.
Yeah,
and
the life of the party.
Right, and so-and-so is usually the peacock.
Yeah.
And they come in and they just make things happen, right? So that's your peacock. And then you have your eagle, which is your bottom line result, get it done. What I used to be like, really just, I don't care about the information. I don't care about the facts.
Get it done now.
Get it done now. And why didn't it get done? And I tend to, as you know, and you can say a little bit, but when I tend to get a little stressed, I'll revert more to being an eagle, where just like, hey, let's just get things
bottom
done.
line.
In fact, I think I kind of did that a little bit at the beginning of this podcast.
You did, yeah. It's like, are you sure you want to do this?
Yeah, and I was totally fine, but I was in my eagle mode, right? And so the beauty is that you and your brain could know that I wasn't being rude, or I wasn't, not that I didn't want to do it.
Exactly.
I was going into my eagle personality type.
Yeah.
So it registers in your brain. That's what you need. You are an owl, which is the analytical, who, what, when, where, why. You have all your notes and all your paperwork, and that's great. I don't need that.
All my information.
You need all your information.
I need it, yeah.
So, and there's nothing wrong with that. So rather than, I'm not better than you, you're not better than me.
Exactly.
We're all different. We have different strengths and weaknesses. So that's the owl. And the last one is the dove.
The dove, the sweet love dove.
And the dove is kind of the Midwest. I mean, you're a dove.
I am a dove.
Most people have a primary personality type, and then they have a secondary. And it's really important to recognize the other personality type in a relationship. I know when we first met, I think I was single for about 3 weeks.
Yeah, snagged you right away.
You did. But the beauty is I knew I didn't want somebody like me. Because if I had somebody like me, we would be clashing all the time.
Exactly.
Sometimes we would get along great, and it would be amazing, right? And then other times we'd be clashing like crazy. And I didn't want that. And what I wanted was somebody that was the 2 personality types that I wasn't.
We really balance each other out.
Correct. And I wanted it for that balance. Because I can, tend to be one way really extreme, and you tend to pull me back that way. And then you tend to be one way in extreme, and I pull you back the other way. Yeah. You've heard that old saying in relationships where opposites attract?
Yes.
I've always wondered, why do opposites attract? And it's because you recognize something in somebody else that you wish you had. Okay. And so that's attractive to you. And then vice versa. So that's why, opposites attract initially. So again, 4 birds, you got the eagle, peacock, owl, dove. You can always go to our website, toddnovak.com. We'll put a link on the podcast here, and you can learn all about the birds and do a deeper dive on it. But it's just really neat to know, and quite honestly, I've done this, I used to do called the birds, the birds is for marriage, or the marriage is for the birds. Marriage is for the birds, which is kind of like, is that good or bad? And what happens is when you understand each other's personality type, it helps you in every area, from just talking, from arguing,
And just like, of course, your spouse is going to do annoying things every once in a while, and it just really helps you accept why they're doing that, and then you don't think it's annoying. You're just,
Correct. And, as I do in these marriage classes, marriages for the birds, even, regarding sex too is very important. Certain personality types like certain things and other ones don't. And you have to learn to respect each other in that area. So it's pretty amazing what you learn with the birds. It applies in so many areas of your life.
It does.
You think we're going to talk about that, right?
Yeah, I didn't think you'd get into sex with birds, but hey, whatever. But, before I met you, I didn't know much about personality types, and it's really helped me so much communicating with my friends, family,
Well, I mean, it's one of those things that's very simple to understand. I've been I've known about this and been teaching it for over 20 years.
Yeah.
And I'm still learning more about personality types every
Exactly.
day, because it's very simple, but it's very deep, because people are complicated.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just so, it gives you a quick start. It's an easy way to communicate. You know, I can tell you, hey, because we work together,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and that's.
We do everything
I
together.
know, we're going to do a podcast on that one day. But, you know, people freak out like, what? You guys live together, you sleep together, you eat together, you work together, you work out together, you do hot yoga together.
Yeah, and we even throw in date night, too, which we're going to talk about.
Yeah, we're going to talk about date night. But, you know, and that's very important. So, again, you can find out more about the birds in the link down below. But just gives you a head start. Recognize who you are first. Learn that. And then learn what the other person is in the relationship, what personality style they are. And then you learn to have grace and compassion and understanding. And it really just helps you build a stronger, better relationship when you understand why somebody's doing what they do. Because that's really what the birds teach, right?
It builds a stronger relationship.
Because if I know you're asking me all these questions and it's kind of irritating me a little bit, but if I know the reason why you're asking me the questions is because you need the information in order to feel comfortable, then I don't feel like you're drilling me or questioning me. You're just doing it because you need information. So if I recognize that and I understand that, I have compassion and understanding for you. If not, I'll be like, hey, why are you asking me all these questions? Who cares? Let's go.
Exactly.
So small example, but a very important one in relationships.
Yeah, the birds are awesome.
All right. So in fact, I think we're doing birds for kids, but we'll talk about that another time.
Yeah, an exciting thing for kids because, you know, as Todd had mentioned, you know, he teaches this to kids as young as 3 years old. And I just think it's amazing that kids would learn this at a young age. I mean, I didn't learn it until, like 6 years ago. I wish I would have learned it so much earlier. It would have helped me with a lot more of my relationships.
Yeah, but could have been that you would have had such a great relationship with someone else that wouldn't have met me. So it's kind of good.
I know. It happened for a reason, right?
Sorry.
We wouldn't be doing this podcast together right now and having so much fun.
All right. So I think you were going to talk about date night, right?
Yeah. Date night is something we try to do on a weekly basis. And, you know, it just helps keep our marriage healthy and
well, we always like to talk about something healthy in our podcast. And so we're thinking, hey, do we give them a health tip? But really, if you think about it, you know, date night is so important because especially now, we don't have kids. We don't even have pets.
We don't,
But life is frantic, right? You run around all week. Everything's about everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
If you're working, it's about your boss. It's about your employees, about your customers. You know, it's about your kids if you have kids. There's soccer practices and, you know, swimming lessons. I mean, just on and on and on.
It's a time to slow down.
And then wait a minute. What happened to us as a couple? What happened to us as a relationship? It kind of gets put on the back burner.
True.
And that is the worst thing that can happen. So date night, you know, whoever designed it was great, but it really was, in my opinion, designed for that husband and wife to have that one-on-one time with all the distractions gone, all the noise gone, and focus on who? Them, each other, and get back to the basics of why I love you, why you love me, and you know, let's get to know each other again.
You know, one of my favorite things about date night.
What?
I don't have to cook.
Oh, okay.
We love cooking at home because we like to eat healthy and we know exactly, you know, what we're eating. But it's so nice, you know, once a week, just get dressed up nice and, you know, go and have someone else cook for us and serve us. And
in fact, we're dressed up tonight and we're going to go out on date night tonight.
We are, exactly. But let's talk about our date night last week, I guess.
Sure.
Where did we go last week?
Hey, but by the way, guys, look, do date night once a week. You have to, come on, be smart about this. I mean, and then when you do date night, I'm sorry, I got to get into this for a minute.
That's fine.
But when you do date night, treat your wife like you did when you were dating her. That's why it's called date night.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah, but most guys don't get that, right?
I like that.
And so what do I mean by that? Maybe get her flowers.
Open the car door.
Right, but flowers. Yeah. That's a good start. Remember, you used to bring her flowers.
Most women, I would say
9.9% of them like flowers.
Yeah, if you don't, but most
maybe a little
flowers.
Simple gift. Doesn't have to be an expensive gift. Just something simple. Could even be a card. Because women love cards.
They do.
Right.
I do.
So flowers, cards, and then like you said, open the door for them. You should be opening the door for them anyways, but especially on date night.
You're really good at that. You do have a lot of great gentleman qualities that most men don't have these days, you know.
And that's a whole nother podcast. Let's make sure we talk about that. But that's because of my mom and my three sisters, you know, growing up with all women.
Mm-hmm.
They would teach me what to do and what not to do.
Well, I need to thank them then, right?
Exactly. So my sister Deborah and my mom and everybody. So,
Yeah.
but anyway, so the cool part was, treat it as you were dating, and then, just make it an event.
Yeah.
Make it feel like it's a special event.
Relax,
Pick a nice, it doesn't even have to be a nice restaurant. But maybe pick a quiet restaurant or something. I don't know, so where you can actually have conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you go in a restaurant, it's so loud and noisy and distracting. You're so focused looking around and being distracted, you can't focus on your wife or your husband or, your date that night. So anyways, focus on each other. So those are some quick little tips, and but again, make it about please put your cell phones away.
Oh,
and I know that's a tough one.
Mm-hmm.
Women, put your phones in your purse.
It's
guys,
hard for me.
I know, but turn your phone off. I mean, because if you turn your phone off, you're going to make it about each other. And I know you're saying, I got kids. I know, but work it out.
Exactly, because when we're at a restaurant and we see both of the couples have their phone out and their heads down, we're like, wow, let's not do that. Let's not be that couple.
Well, considering I wrote a book called Has Technology Left Us Speechless?
That's true.
We have a rule that two of us can't be on the phone at the same time in public, because that's just not good. So anyways, quick thoughts about the date night. Guys, do it. Your wife will never be upset. And my wife didn't want me to say this, but, code for date night for guys means something else. So, hey, do date night. You'll be happy. That's all I can say. And hey, that's enough about date night. Oh, but you were going to talk about where we went on our date night.
Oh, yeah. Well, we were going to kind of throw in where we went on our date night last week. We went to one of our favorite restaurants in Newport Beach, Oak Grill, over at the Fashion Island Hotel. That's a place that we love to go. It's just, a couple minutes from our house. And Oak Grill, they just have an outdoor patio.
Used to be a Four Seasons, so you can imagine. I've never been to a bad Four Seasons. It's kind of like going to a bad Ritz-Carlton. There's no such thing, right?
No such thing.
And the Irvine Company is just amazing with how they make everything look so good.
They do.
They have these beautiful trees and these lights in the trees.
Out on the patio. And
amazing.
The food's great. And then, after dinner, we...
I got to tell them about my favorite dish. So if you go, have the sea bass.
Oh, yeah.
Sea bass is
great.
Amazing. It is one of the best sea bass has ever had. And
it's hard for us to order anything else when we go there because the sea bass is so good.
I know, but we have to because we can't both have sea bass.
That's true. Share different places.
And then you were saying there was a patio or something that we got.
Yeah, we eat out on the patio, and it's beautiful. And then right beside the patio, they have a fire pit that people sit around, and they have live music every night. And so
from I think 6 to 9 or 6 to 8 is live music. And then there's it's outdoors. There's a fire pit, so there's even some guys and ladies smoking cigars every once in a while.
Yeah, if you're into that kind of thing.
Yeah, not everybody is, but anyways, it's very beautiful right across from Fashion Island. So, hey, listen, guys, go do date night. Ladies, you can do date night too. You can instigate it too. Say, hey, we're going to do this. If your guy is one of those guys
even if you have to put it on the calendar, do it.
There you go. That's a good idea. But make your guy do it. Say, hey, we're going on date night. We're going to make it about us.
Yeah.
Because that will help your relationship. I'm not going to say more than anything, but it will definitely help it amazingly.
It will.
So do date night. And remember the birds. Check out that link. And hey, that's conclusion.
Hey, and we better not be doing any weird filters on our pictures because people are going to bust us. But we don't.
But we never did anyways.
Who knows? We might, but we haven't yet. So.
But hey, that concludes On With the Novaks. We're so excited that you guys took some time to visit with us. Our goal is to always bring great stories and great information and be entertaining at the same time. Hopefully, you laugh at us a little bit and say, hey, those guys have kind of a different, fun relationship. We kind of like that. Hey, shoot us an email at onwiththenovaks. That's ONWITHTHENOVAKS @gmail.com. So onwiththenovaks @gmail.com. And like we always say, make it happen.
Make it happen.